We've got the next peripheral in our sights as we take aim at a well-remembered add-on for the Nintendo Entertainment System in this week's episode of Retro-Spectives on the side. We've seen that existing technology can help to sell and market a console, especially when said technology is repackaged inside a different toy altogether. But what if you were trying to sell your dated tech to a different part of the world? How would your new toy fare without years upon years of improvements and innovations, only to be repurposed and made into a peripheral for your new video game console? The NES Zapper, or Light Gun, was a packaged peripheral that came with the base Nintendo Entertainment System bundles when the console was first released in 1985, though it didn't get its start there. Let's leap back a few years into the beginning of the 1970s. Gunpei Yokoi had only just begun his rise as a prominent figure at Nintendo with the success of the Ultra Hand, a toy of his own design that got the attention of Nintendo's then president, Hiroshi Yamauchi. Yokoi needed something that would be the next step in toy design. The Ultra Hand was a simple device built from leftover parts from Nintendo's card manufacturing assembly line. But the rise of electronics in Japanese households dictated that Nintendo's newest toys would need to be futuristic. Working alongside Masayuki Uemura, who had previously been a salesman with the Sharp Corporation, they devised a brilliant design in toy guns that used optoelectronic battery technology. Using existing tech had gotten Yokoi into his new position, and the light sensor technology would continue to grant him great success with the Kosenju series of toys, as they were named. This technology became affordable through mass production, and with Nintendo's history of working assembly lines to create toys and cards, it became an easy process to manufacture the pieces necessary for the Kosenju toys. The toys worked like this. Pulling the trigger on the gun would emit a harmless and invisible stroboscopic beam, lasting only 1/1000th of a second, which upon reaching its target, fitted with a photonic battery, triggered a current that would then set off a physical reaction in the device. For example, the Kosenju jumping bottle would spring the upper half of the target, making it look like the bottle had been shot into two pieces. This reaction made gamers feel as if they were shooting live rounds, giving them the impression that their shots actually hit their target. The Kosenju series sold incredibly for Nintendo, and even saw them creating a few offshoots of the product, pun intended, that we'll be sure to cover at another time. One of these versions of the light gun was seen with an arcade game release titled Wild Gunman. Players took on the role of a gunman, facing off against a bevy of ornery gunslingers, each more grizzled than the last. The game worked off a set of 2 film projectors that were housed in front of the arcade machine's stall. Firing at the right moment and aiming correctly would trigger the correct film sequence on the game. If you assume that the Wild Gunman released for the NES is in some way related to this arcade game, you'd be right. In order to port their arcade game to the system, the light gun was created as a peripheral and made to look like the Kosenju revolver. However, fearing that they might get into hot water for releasing something that looked like a real gun, Nintendo redesigned the light gun for the American market so that it resembled a laser shooting pistols like something out of a sci-fi movie. The Zapper was as much of a system seller as Rob the Robot, if not even more. Families in the States couldn't get enough of the echoing sound of a spring being pulled in the Zapper's trigger, or the feeling of finally landing their mark on a renegade duck before it could fly away. Even the incorporated clay shooter that was bundled with the Duck Hunt game had historic roots for Nintendo. But again, that's a story for another day. Masayuki Uemura, in a 2015 lecture at NYU, stated that the Zapper was included with NES bundles because Americans love guns. So it's no surprise that the light gun holds such a fond place with an older generation of gamers and families from the late 80s. If you'd like to read more about Masayuki Uemura's presentation, you can find a breakdown of it on usgamer.net. The article's author also has a great video on the history behind the light gun and Wild Gunman, so be sure to look up NES Works coverage over on YouTube when you get the chance. This won't be the last time we take a look into the history behind Nintendo's firearm accessory, and we hope you'll tune in for our next episode of Retro-Spectives on the side.